What I'm going to show you today is how I learnt to record high quality calls with your bat detectors. What I do to improve my calls, I put them on a pole. That's what you do. That's half the battle. But what you got to do before you do that, you got to look around where you're going to put your pole and make sure it's in the appropriate location. Now I've chosen a location here behind me because I've got a beautiful flyway where I know the bats will come through, and I've also got lines of trees, so they'll come along the line of trees and through the flyway. So I'll be aiming the microphone in that direction. And I've also behind me I've got a bank of trees and low bushes, so the bats will come along here and they'll come through here and continue on. So right where I'm standing is where I'm going to be putting the pole. Now the pole can be simple. This is just a painting pole, that's all it is, from a hardware store called Bunnings. And on the end of it I've just got a screw-on brush holder, and you can then elastic tape, whatever, tie your microphone to, and then you tie it up. Of course the beauty about this one, it's about 2 meters, a little bit too long, but it can extend. Now this one goes up to 3.8 meters, which is great. So I started off using the yellow pole and I got good calls, really good calls. I was happy with it. But further research on the internet, especially learning from the Americans, that you put it on a higher pole. Now what you do is you put it on a 5 meter or higher. So what I've done, I happen to have one of these and I've used it for other purposes. Now I've got an even better use for it. This is called a spider beam. Now what I've done, some modifications. I've gaffer taped the end because sometimes the telescopic rods inside can push the cap out. So I really gaffer that, tape that well. And then at the other end I put a hook, and the little eye-ring makes it easy to remove the cap and pull the telescopic rods out. It's a fiberglass rod. Now this one goes to 12 meters, although I never put up that high. It's because I have it, I can use it. So I'm going to show you the parts now that I mainly use to install the pole, the microphone on a pole. So you start off with the spider beam rod. Then I use what's called a star picket. So it's a steel rod with a few holes in, common item out in the farmlands and bushlands. That's how our farmers put up fences, by driving this into the ground. And then today I'll be using the Titley Swift, the Anabat Swift bat detector. This is a passive, full spectrum and zero crossing bat detector. So it's an excellent one, and we'll talk a little bit about that, and I'll show you how I install it. A few other parts that I'll be showing you that make up this particular exercise. I use some little cords. These are called tarp tie down cords. So you get them from the hardware store again. And what they are is just a bit of elastic bead strap thing and a little blobby thing on the end. So you loop them over, and mainly for trailer tarps and things like that. They come in really good use. Then I've got a piece of garden hose, and that's on the end of a little T-piece for a retic, reticulation piping for your garden. So that's all that is, and I'll show you how I use that in a minute. Then I've got my microphone cable. This is a 10 meter length one, and I've also got a small, from the reticulation world again, a little spear. This is a retic sprinkler, so you push in the ground, generally has a little bit of tubing, and the water goes through the tubing, sprays up. Because it's pointy, I've got a good use for that. And last but not least, I bought from Titley Scientific, who sell the Anabats. This is an elastic strap, camouflage strap, and this is how I will attach the Anabat Swift to my pole system. So now I'm going to set it all up and show you how I did it. Okay, step one is you take the star picket, and I use the part with the hole parts away and the V part towards where I want the microphone to actually point. So I use a little hammer, heavy little hammer called a gimpy, and I place it in there in the direction I want on a slight angle, and then I bang it in there. So that's all you need to do for the star picket into the ground. The next stage is to take the telescopic pole contraption, and I pull out the top. I'll bring it in close so you can have a look, and you pop it out. So normally you don't get this little ring on the end of it. It just comes with the actual rubber. And this is what the pole looks like. Just a collection of telescopic rods at different sizes. And what I do is I grab two of the little elasticized cords, and I just place it like this, and then I actually put these little eyelets through the holes and then around, and just lock it in like that, one at the top and one below. So the idea is to minimize the setup. You've got to make it short, fast, easy, quick. Sometimes I might do this just before sunset. Now, the second part is with this little spike, retic spike that I showed you. I'm going to withdraw the telescopic rod, the first one. Rather than trying to get my finger down there, which is impossible, you just push that in and you pull it up. So that's what I use this little tool for. Now, of course, I didn't take my other little bit. So my combination T-piece with a little bit of hose, and I just push the rod in, bring it up. So the first rod, now I wet a little bit so I ease it off when I'm ready to disassemble it, and I push that on like that. That's all you have to do. So now I'm going to show you some close-ups of what it looks like too. These little elastic cords with the ball on the end of them are quite handy, because I use them to tie on the cable, 10-meter cable together, keep it nice and neat. Okay, you stick them in your pocket, and okay, you choose the end which is going to have the microphone, and what I do is I'll show you the mic. The mic's very small. We'll zoom in and I'll show you. Okay, we've got the microphone and we attach it to the cable. So it's got a little cutout, and you push it on and you just screw the whole lot together. So it's quite a good system and works quite well. Now with the cables, you do it twice around. So I tend to hold it like this and wrap it once, then wrap it twice, and then stretch the elastic over the little ball. And that's it. So that's one. And then you extend the rod up and you tie another one here, so part of the way. Now what I'm going to do is, once I've got the microphone on, and that's all you need, extend the pole, and as you extend it, you wrap the cord around the pole. So it's like that. So it doesn't, you don't get the cable banging against the pole if a wind comes along and starts making extra noise. So the beauty about using this particular one is they work on friction. So you push it and just extend it out and pull it a little bit tight. And that's what we do. We extend it and friction pull it and rotate it as I do it until I get it up to where I want it. So here we have a Titley Scientific Anabat Swift bat detector, and it's got a little port for the microphone here, and that's for external power. It's an excellent little system, and I'm going to show you how I connect it on. So the first thing I do is connect the external antenna to the actual box itself. Very simple, easy to push and screw the little knob. Now there's a bit of a trick to this. Of course, once you've done that, you check your settings. Now I've set it for recording at night only. So it uses a GPS. You turn it on and it picks up a GPS signal and it gets the time from that. So it turns on 20 minutes before sunset and at 20 minutes after sunrise, something like that. It's a great little unit. It has, with it when you buy it, it has two battery caddies, a 4AA1 or an 8AA1. So if you want overnight recording, I just use the 4s. Now I do use NiCads, rechargeable NiCads, called N-loops, and they seem to be really good and the machine can take it. So rechargeables are the way to go. Now I've set mine up and it's all ready to go. It picked up the GPS signal, and all I have to do now is close it up. Now here's the trick with the elasticise extension. Now with this, again, you've got to think about the wind blowing and making noises against it, even though it's up high. This is a little sneaky little testing cord with a magnet, and it goes over top and it can test whether your machine's on or off, whether it's working. I'm not going to bother because I know it's working. So you just put it against the pole like that, and then one hand, stretch it around like this, and you hold it and you keep on stretching it. Hold it with your thumb. So pull it tight and clip it together. Now probably a good idea to make sure it is extending down, so if any moisture or dew comes, it runs down rather than going up. So you make sure the cable runs down, and basically that's all it is, and it's ready to go. So what I'll do now, I'll take the camera back and give you a long distance view of the setup, and you'll see what I mean. Where you see the vehicle, just above that to the left is the flyway that the bats are going to come through, and they're going to come in and then they're going to be recorded by the pole, and you can see how high it is. So that should give me some good calls. No interference, hopefully.